So yesterday we were talking about yeah this particular table where we were trying to summarize the complete data. Okay. Now after this we need to understand second thing which comes in data exploration is understanding the spread of the data. Do you know what are the measures of data spread? Anyone? How can we understand spread of the data? And there are two questions which needs to be answered over here. Question one, why should we talk about data spread at all? The second question is, uh, how do we measure the data spread or how do we monitor the spread of the data? So, anyone would like to tell that why should we talk about spread of the data? Anyone would like to say something? Deviation from the, of course, yeah. So, data spread to some extent it means deviation from the mean. Okay, we get that. But still, is it only about the mean? What if the data is nominal or ordinal? Will it not have spread? What is the meaning of the spread of the data? Let's say I take 30 classes, okay, and every one of you is going to have an entry time in the class. So we register that entry time for 30 classes. So although you may be punctual, but will you always be entering at exactly 6:30? Tell me yes or no. Will you all be so? Okay. Even if you try, is it possible to enter exactly at 6:30? We go up to seconds. So that's not possible. So same thing goes with the natural data as well, or the nature itself does not support. The nature itself does not support non-variance or variation is inherent in the data. Now variation could be because of the specific causes, or it may be because of some random causes. Okay, although we are not interested in that right now, whether it is because of specific causes or the random causes, but the data spread actually governs how reliable is your data. Also, it tells that is there a biasness in your data? Is it inclined towards certain values of the parameters or not? Okay, is the it also tells about the sufficiency of the data, if that data that you have collected is sufficient or not. Maybe you collected the rainfall data in the rainy season only. Okay, so you would like to know that what is the spread of my data. Ideally, for a data which is sufficiently large in number, a natural data which is devoid of any uh, bias or anything like that should exhibit a sort of a normal distribution like this. Okay, it is asymptotic to x-axis, and your data spread on the y-axis you can consider it as frequency, and on x-axis you can consider x or the variable which is under consideration, and y-axis it is frequency, and if you convert it into a probability distribution it would be your probability. Okay, so anyway, so that's why we need to be that's why we need to talk about data spread. Okay. Now, how do we measure the data spread? And of course, all of you know that we can use standard deviation. One of the most common measures of finding out the data spread is normal distribution. Other than that, before we even go for any sort of calculation, we can picturize. We can. It is always picture speaks more, right? Means in order to have data, and in order to regulate the data, or in order to understand the data, you have to actually look at it in more deeper sense. But then initially we'll talk about plots. Okay, so of course, variance, all of you know what is the meaning of variance. Now, let me take an interesting example before we go ahead and do plots and all. So, let's say you have this example, there are two attributes. Now, look at these values. Both are having same mean and median. Okay, but if you look at it, first set of value is more concentrated or clustered around the mean, and second set of values is quite spread or dispersed. Okay, so attribute 1 values are around more around 46, while the attribute 2 values are more strewn around, they are more spread. Okay, so what does it indicate about the quality of the data? Attribute 1 about the dispersion in the data, attribute 1 and attribute 2. So which is having a better data? Which attribute is exhibiting better data or a better quality data?
The one which is more clustered.
Yeah. So see, why less variation is considered to be good?
Because all of the values are near to mean and we can predict the value.
Yeah. So it statistical predictability is higher. Getting it? So simply it means that if lesser variation is there, lesser uncertainty will be there. If lesser uncertainty, our prediction will be much better. As simple as that. So it is quite clear logic that it helps in it helps, the lower value of variation helps in better predictability. So we can say that. Now we talk about we're going to talk about uh, measuring data value position. Now, in the previous one, we actually had to calculate mean, and then we have to see that individual value, how far is individual value from the mean, and then we come to a conclusion that one is more closer and the other one is far away, like that. So, data value positions, how can we get that? So, does anyone know about quartiles? Have you heard about quartiles? just uh, just for my information, I would like to know if anyone of you know about quartiles. uh, so okay, Syed says yes, Syed has some idea. Anyone else? Say no if you don't know about quartiles. Okay, so good. So quartiles are considered to be very efficient if we have to pictorially represent the spread of the data. It goes somewhat like this. Let's say this line is indicating all your data points from 1 to let's say you got 50 data points, or let's say 100 data points, much easier. Okay, and they are arranged in ascending or the descending order. So let's say ascending order they are arranged. So we divide the data into three equal parts, not three equal, but the first part will be 25% of the data, the second part will be again 25% of the data, and the middle, this portion will be 50% of the data. Okay, so we say this is the quartile one, this line over here, this indicates first quartile, and this represents you can say this is quartile 1, I wouldn't say, this is quartile 2, and this is quartile 3. So and this one is called interquartile range, IQR, interquartile range. Okay, now let's say uh, and of course where will be the median? Median will be located somewhere here, where if just at the middle of the fifth, wherever is the 50 value. So 50th value will be indicating the median, right? All of you know that mean, median, and mode. And what is mode anyway? Just for recollection, mean all of you know, median you know the middle value of the data, and what is mode?
Maximum occurrence.
Yeah. So the value which occurs with highest frequency is the mode. Okay, so let's say uh, if I have to find out for that, yeah, I go ahead, that data which we were looking at yesterday, which was
So what is IQR?
interquartile range. Interquartile range. Okay, so let's have look at this data over here. Hmm? I'll show you the data. So we were looking at this auto MPG data yesterday. Just a sec. So look at this data over here. I'll send you this. I'm sending it in the WhatsApp group. This one. This data file I'm sending it in the WhatsApp group just now. So what are we going to do with this data is we will try to understand the spread of this data. Hmm. Or are you can you access the Google Class? It's better I'll upload it in the Google Class. Shall I upload it in the Google Class or WhatsApp? Give me your opinion. WhatsApp might take a bit time. I have to log in, I think. Classroom. I'm posting it in the classroom now. Later on, Amit will also be using this data. So I have posted it. Now you can download. Okay, so now let's have a look at this data. Now, just a second. So all of you are having this data now, right? Now, can you tell me few things? We will plot it again later, no issues. But can you find out the, let's say we want to find out quartiles for, so let's say we do it for cylinders. Now cylinder, okay, before cylinder is categorical. So we can take, let's take this one. Origin again is this one. Displacement looks okay. Okay, so we take the interval and the ratio scale data. Displacement. Okay, now can you tell me what is quartile 1 value for displacement? Quartile 1 value for displacement.
So is it arranged in order?
You can do that. I hope you can do that. Can you do that in Excel or not? I mean, if you can't do, I can tell that also. Because if we run it in ML, it will give everything immediately. But in order to get the concept and get a point of view, we need to do it in. We'll do few things by hand. I mean, in at least in theory sessions, I'll try to do as much as we can do by hand. So what is the first quartile? Q1 for displacement. We can see that. Okay. In order to do that, where will be the first quartile located? How many points are there? How many points are there? So we can, I mean, we can arrange it anyway. Data, we can sort it low to high. We can do that. And we have 398 points, right? 398 points we have. So for 398 points, where will, at what index will the quartile 1 occur? You can type that. At what index will the quartile 1 occur? 99th and the 100th observation or not? So we can say that Q1 will occur at the so Q1 occurs at because the data is even, so we'll have to take the middle value of the two. So 99th and the 100th observation. What is that? Can you tell me the value? Can you find out the average value of 99th and the 100th observation?
$99.5.
100.5. 100.5 because first 25% of that. Now, uh, where does Q2 occur? I mean, I can say the limit of Q2, or you can say the upper limit of Q2, because anyway we are representing Q1, Q2, Q3 as those. You can, okay. I'll make the diagram for, let's make it easier. So we say this is Q1, Q2 we are representing it as median, and Q3 will be your the third point, which is indicating your, so Q3 minus Q1 is your interquartile range and Q2 is your median. So median occurs at what value? Median occurs at what value? Okay, Prateek is saying which column we are checking. We are checking the displacement column, Prateek. So median occurs at what value? Quickly look at the data and tell me. So median will divide the data into 50-50, right? Okay, how did the 99th and the, okay, let's go back. Let's go back to the data. Okay, now in this data we see displacement. There are 398 observations. Okay, so with 398 observations, what is the 25% of 398? 398 into 0.25. 99.5. Now It is a discrete one, right? These are index numbers. So you'll have to take 99 and the 100 observation. Okay. And then median comes at the middle value, or the 398 divided by 390, I mean 398 into 0.5. So that will be your 199th observation. So your 199th observation, you can look into this. It is 199th observation will be actually 200 over here, because one is your uh, yeah. So we can see that 200th observation is over here, 146. You get that? And then similarly Q3 will be your so 398 into 0.75, 298.5, that is 298 and 299. So average of that, so 298 and 299 F. So 298 and 299, we see yeah, okay, 298, that will be this one, these two, 262, because 298th observation will be actually 299th. So 299th and 300th observation. So the average is 2. So Q3 is 262.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So while we are taking median, so shouldn't it be average of the 199th and sorry 200 and 199th and 200th value?
Yeah. We did that for Q1. Yes. For Q1 we
So
did
for
that.
Q2, so for
Oh,
Q2,
Q2. See, what is the meaning of median? Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Actually, even number of observations. No. Yeah. Okay. I get that. Sorry. So what was that? What is that value coming? 146, 148.5, right?
yes, sir.
Yeah. Right. So just do that correction. I mean, I forgot that it was an even number of data. Yeah. So I think that's how we find out Q1, Q2, and Q3. Okay. Now I'll show you how box plot looks like. So displacement. Okay. So I'll run this command over here, and hmm, okay, I think I have to dock it. So you see here, this is how the displacement one looks like. Now you can see what was Q1 value. What was the average value of that? 99th and the 100 observation.
102.5.
Excuse me. Yes, sir. 102.5 should be.
So you can see here that this is Q1. Okay, the line over here is Q1. So this box over here, it is representing your 50% of the data. Okay, and I'll explain the meaning of these lines which are emanating out of the box. First, let's understand what is this Q1, Q2, Q3. Then your Q2 is your median line, right? So what was the median value? 146 something, no? So it is just near to 150, you can see over here. And then your Q3 value was
262.
262. So here you get this line as 262. So you can see over here your data is, so this is how your data looks like. It seems that your data is higher on the other side of the mean than on the lower side of the mean, or median. Sorry, not mean, median. Okay. Then these lines which are emanating out of Q3 and Q1, these lines, they are called whiskers. Okay, whiskers are like cat has whiskers. So similarly, they actually come out of the mouth. So you can see here that has been synonymously taken as whiskers. So how do we calculate whiskers? I'll tell you that as well. Eraser is not coming. What happens? Anyway, so how do we calculate whiskers is uh, so the formula for lower and the upper whisker. So lower whisker comes below. So now we can close this box, and these are your whiskers. Okay. Now, how do I calculate where does this upper and the lower whisker end? So this is your lower whisker LW, and this is your upper whisker UW. Okay. So this is how we calculate upper whisker. We get it as Q3 plus 1.5 IQR. And lower whisker we get it as, any idea? How do we get lower whisker? Looks obvious.
Q1 minus 0.25 IQR.
Minus 1.5 IQR. Good. So that's how we get these whiskers. Okay. So can you calculate the whiskers of these quickly? Upper and the lower value of
Sir, what is IQR basically?
interquartile range, that is Q3 minus Q1. I think I'll write it again. IQR is Q3 minus Q1. So you get this data? I mean, you get this? Now, quickly tell me the value of Q3 upper whisker and the lower whisker.
Sir, I did not understand the formula.
Okay, it is upper whisker means this point over here, where it will be located beyond Q3. Or you want me to refresh this page and then do it again, right? So
Sure.
I think I have to, yeah, now it is working. Yeah, its screen is becoming irresponsive. So anyway, I'll make the new screen. So we have seen that box plot was somewhat like this. Okay. So this is your Q3, this is your Q2, which is median, and this is Q1. And then there is upper whisker and the low, because this is only 50% of the data, right? This is the 50% of the data. Where does the other data go? So we have to locate that also, no? So this is your lower whisker. Lower whisker. WHISKER. Lower whisker. This is your upper whisker. Okay. So how do I get this value? I get this as Q1 minus 1.5 interquartile range, which is Q3 minus Q3 minus Q2. Similarly, this value will be Q3 plus 1.5 Q3 minus Q2. Okay. Now tell me the value of Q3. We had already found out. What was that value? Q3 value? Quickly.
262.
262. I'm just taking whatever you said, okay? And 262 minus, what was Q2? That was median, right? So 146 something. What was that? Median value?
148.5.
148.5. 148.5. Okay. So what is this value? Quickly calculate and tell me. See, you have to be with pen and pencil in this class, because we'll be doing whatever algorithms we are doing. We'll be most of the time we'll be solving by hand whatever we are doing right now, like this.
432.25.
432.25. Okay, 0.2. And the lower value? Similarly, lower whisker? Yeah, lower whisker value?
So can it be negative?
Whatever value you are getting, you tell. We will see that.
Minus 67.75.
Minus 67.75. Okay, let me see where is the issue. So your lower whisker Q1 was what was Q1? 50 points or something. So where is Q1? Everyone's done that. So now, I mean, we have not just found out those values, right? I mean, we have just calculated it. Sorry, we've just calculated these values. This is one value which we have calculated. The other value which we have calculated is minus what value? Something. What value you're getting is uh, what was that value? Negative. You were telling something, no?
Minus 67.75.
Minus 67.75. All of you are getting these values? Yes, guys? Yeah, I think all of you are getting. Now, it is just not about the calculation. If you look at the data, these values should be part of your database. आपका जो database है उसका part होना चाहिए ये, ठीक है? तो लोअर विस्कर का 67.75 का मतलब क्या है? That what is the minimum value in your database? अब हम एक्सेल शीट में जाके देखते हैं एक बार. Excel sheet में we will go and we'll look at what is the minimum value in the database. So the minimum value is 68. ठीक है? अगर आपकी जो let's say आपकी जो लोअर विस्कर की वैल्यू आती वो 68 से बड़ी आती. मान लीजिए आपकी लोअर विस्कर की वैल्यू 78 आती. Okay, then in the 70 आती. Okay, just by calculations, then we would have taken that one as your lower whisker value. Okay, but अब आपकी जो लोअर विस्कर की वैल्यू आ रही है वो 68 से कम आ रही है. That is negative something. That means आप 68 ही लेंगे लोअर विस्कर वैल्यू. Okay. Similarly, for upper whisker value, what is the upper whisker value you are getting? Upper whisker value you are getting it as 432.25. Now we look into this. What is the maximum value we are getting? So we go down and we see maximum value is 455. So अब आपकी जो अपर विस्कर की वैल्यू है वो जो मैक्सिमम वैल्यू है दैट इज 455 उससे कम आ रही है. सो देन इन दैट केस वी आर गोइंग टू टेक 455 एज द अपर वैल्यू ऑफ योर upper whisker. So the rule is somewhat like this. The rule says, just a second, you may, I'll just show you so it will be easier for you to understand. The rule says, uh, you can always note it. I mean, I can just tell you that the rule is that for lower whisker, if your minimum value is, in this case, let's say our minimum value is 68, right? And your lower whisker value is lower than 68, then in that case, we take greater one. Lower में greater लेते हैं और upper में we do take it like this, because in maximum data value is 455, so the upper whisker is your 81% of the data. Okay, so that completes your interquartile range, and that's how we draw the box plot. So
Sir, in
yeah,
upper whisker we took 455, and in lower whisker we took 68,
68.
right?
Yeah. So
So
in
you
a,
mean,
yeah.
sir, you mean that if our upper whisker was greater than 455, what would we have taken the value?
See, you, if your upper whisker is more than 455, then how would we? That data itself is not lying in that, no. That data itself does not exist beyond 455. So what is the significance of box plot? It tells you the spread of your data. Okay.
So why are we calculating then? We can directly take the maximum value as the upper whisker and the minimum value to be lower whisker.
I'll tell you the reason. The reason lies in, अब आप ठीक है, चलो आपका एक क्वेश्चन यही रखिए. अब आप ना एक काम करिए, आप इसका बनाइए बॉक्स प्लॉट. टेक द अदर वन विच इज ऑर्डिनल डेटा. आप सिलेंडर का बनाइए बॉक्स प्लॉट. सो बॉक्स प्लॉट तो हम नहीं बना रहे अभी. आप एक काम करिए, आप इंटरक्वार्टाइल रेंज एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स आप कैसे निकालेंगे सिलेंडर का. So let's say we do it for cylinders. So if we have to do it for cylinders, so what will be your first quartile? Again, I mean, your data index values are not going to change anyway. Okay. So your first quartile will be located at 99.5 again. So 99th and the 100 observation will be there. Then again, for median 2, it will be your 199th observation, and your Q3 will be again 298th and 299th observation. Okay, no, nothing wrong with that. So what will be your Q1? क्या चीज लोकेटेड है इसको हम so let's say we sort them. So cylinder data, let's say we sort them as per cylinder. Yeah, okay. So we look at the 99th and the 100th observation. So 99th and the 100th observation,
So
you got
Q1 4, Q2 भी 4 आएगा और
Q3 8 आएगा. Okay. So now अब आप बताइए अपर विस्कर क्या होगा इसका. अपर विस्कर क्या होगा? हो
14.
सकता है क्या 14? हो सकता है, नहीं हो सकता ना, बिकॉज 8 के ऊपर है नहीं कोई. I mean, this is discrete data first of all, and nothing exists above 8. So इसका जो upper whisker है वो 8 ही है. Getting it? So your Q3 and upper whisker are same. Next,
So what does the whisker value represent?
whisker represents spread of your maximum extent of your data.
So the data cannot exist below the lower whisker and cannot exist above the upper whisker.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
that's why I was telling that if 14 can't be the upper whisker, we took the maximum value for the data from the
आपने
data
लोअर
set.
एक बार बेटा लोअर कैलकुलेट करके तो बताओ. लोअर तो कैलकुलेट करो एक बार. व्हाट इज द लोअर विस्कर वैल्यू?
सर बट टेबल में तो वो वैल्यूज अपीयर कर रही है ना. मतलब अगर अपर whisker is lesser than the maximum value that we have, then we have values that exist above the upper whisker.
हाँ, सो इफ दैट्स व्हाट द थिंग इज, अगर आपका जो अपर विस्कर की वैल्यू आती है वो कम आती है आपकी जो मैक्सिमम वैल्यू है उससे, तो आप मैक्सिमम वैल्यू लेते हैं. गेटिंग इट? सी,
And sir,
why
अगर
we are
ज़्यादा
why
आती
we
है
are even calculating it, because it has to be computed. You have to compute it. I mean, the system may have to compute it at times. That's why
So
the
sir,
formula exists.
सर फिर
The,
so the
पॉइंट ही क्यों
doubt
होगा
is
कैलकुलेट करने का इसका.
you can say we would like to know the length of the whiskers also.
सर द डाउट इज अगर अपर विस्कर की वैल्यू मैक्सिमम वैल्यू से कम है देन वी टेक द मैक्सिमम वैल्यू एंड इफ इट अगर अपर विस्कर की वैल्यू मैक्सिमम वैल्यू से ज़्यादा है तभी हम लोग डेटाबेस की मैक्सिमम वैल्यू लेते हैं. तो सर अपर विस्कर को कैलकुलेट क्यों कर रहे हैं फिर?
ओके, अभी अभी और एग्जांपल ले रहे हैं, आपको क्लियर हो जाएगा. एक बार आप ना लोअर विस्कर कैलकुलेट करो इसका.
सर -2.
-2 है तो इसके अंदर क्या रहेगी? इसमें क्या
3.
रहेगी आपकी? 3
3.
रहेगी ना, राइट? क्योंकि 3 से कम नहीं है. ठीक है, अभी हम सबका कर लेते हैं फटाफट. अब तो आपका जो क्वेश्चन है मीनवाइल आंसर अपने आप हो जाएगा. नेक्स्ट वी टेक ओरिजिन. अब ओरिजिन का कर लेते हैं फटाफट से. सो ओरिजिन का, ओके, I'll share the slide. That's better. We can cut down some time. So yeah, okay. Sorry. So for origin, your first quartile, again the same thing, median comes over here, and then we look at that data. So uh, your Q1 is 1 and the median is 1 and Q3 is 2. And in this case, Q1 and median are same in the value. So that means your band of median falls on the bottom of the box. इसका मतलब क्या है, इसका देख लेते हैं हम. बॉक्स प्लॉट, ओरिजिन का बॉक्स प्लॉट देखते हैं. So let's see the box plot of origin. ये किसका है बॉक्स प्लॉट? अभी हमने बनाया था, सिलेंडर्स का था, राइट? And for origin it is 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so where do we go? 1, 2 and 3. I think origin का मैंने किया नहीं है, so let's make that as well. So ये आपका origin का डेटा है. ओके, So you can see here, see it is quite obvious कि आपका मैक्सिमम वैल्यू कहाँ पे आ रही है, और तो वहां पे आपका अपर विस्कर, बट इसके लोअर विस्कर नहीं आया है. सो अगर हम बॉक्स प्लॉट ऑफ ओरिजिन देखेंगे तो इसका आप इंटरक्वार्टाइल रेंज निकालने के बाद इसकी Q3 वैल्यू कैसे निकालेंगे, आप एक बार निकाल के बताएंगे.
So
Q1
can you
निकाल,
repeat?
can you find out Q1 for this one origin, Q1 value for the origin.
1,
Okay, and your median is also 1.
1.
Okay, so it's just coming over here. Now you are saying why are we even calculating the whiskers? आप मत करिए calculate. आप getting it? Eventually आप कोई ऐसी डेटा वैल्यू तो ले नहीं सकते whiskers की कि जो आपके मैक्सिमम पॉइंट के बियॉन्ड चली जाए, बिकॉज इट इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ योर डेटा. आपके डेटा का पार्ट नहीं है, या मिनिमम का ऐसा कुछ वैल्यू नहीं ले सकते हैं जो आपके डेटा का ही पार्ट नहीं है, तो इट इज नॉट रिप्रेजेंटेटिव एनीवे. गेटिंग इट? बट हाउ वी कैन actually calculate the whisker, that formula gives you a way of calculating it. Getting it? So I think your argument is valid to an extent कि हम calculate क्यों कर रहे हैं, हम देख के ही बता देंगे ना. Getting it? जो हमको मैक्सिमम और मिनिमम वैल्यू का रेफरेंस चाहिए तो वी कैन ऑलवेज मेक इट ऑन आवर ओन ओनली. आई थिंक आई गेट दैट. ओके ओके. नाउ हाउ डू वी हाउ डू वी यूज दिस बॉक्स प्लॉट एनीवे? हमारे पास इतने सारे बॉक्स प्लॉट हैं सामने, ये हम देख सकते हैं. सो इसका यूज क्या है बॉक्स प्लॉट का? अब ये बता सकते हैं कि ये किसका है, ये वाला जो बॉक्स प्लॉट है ये किसका है? Look at your Excel sheet and tell me this box plot. Acceleration का. Okay. Now अब आप acceleration का बनाइए with Q1, Q2, Q3 and find out lower whisker and the upper whisker. एक बार आप उसका निकाल के बताइए acceleration का. Quickly do that. आप फास्ट कर सकते हैं, एक्सेलरेशन का निकाल के दिखाइए. So you can give your values. I'm waiting for your answer. I'm waiting for your answers over here in the chat box, or you can speak out.
So Q1 is 13.75.
Okay, I'll write that. Just a second. So your Q1 is 13.75. Okay. What is Q2?
15.5.
15.5. And your Q3?
17.05.
17.05. Lower whisker value. Now calculate and tell me, okay?
Lower whisker is 8.8 and upper whisker is 22.
Okay, lower whisker is 8.3.
8.8,
8.8 and upper whisker is
22.
22. Okay. And what is the max value? Max value and the minimum value. Tell me.
Max value is 24.8.
24.8 and
Minimum is 8.
minimum value is 8. Okay. So if we go according to whatever we were doing, your box plot looks somewhat like this. Your median is 15.5. Your Q1 is 13.75. Your Q3 is 17.05. And your calculated lower whisker value is 8.8. Right now I'm just making what we have found out, and the upper whisker value is 22. Okay, now what is the closest value for 22 in that range? I mean, in the data, closest value to 22, above 22.
22.1.
22.1. Okay, and for lower one,
So 8.5.
so 8.5 is the closest one. Okay, and
So it's
anything
smaller than 8.8 or greater than 8.8?
greater than 8.8.
Then 9.
Okay, so we can say here there's a value which exists, and anything below 9, anything is there below 9. I mean, sorry, 9 comes over here, and anything below 8.8.
8.5 and 8.
Okay, 8.5 and 8 is there. Okay, and for about 22, what are the values about 22?
So there are almost 10 values.
Okay, so there are many values above 22. Now, in this case, what should we do? What is it actually caters to your some? This is your 50% of the data, okay, and then you have 22% of the problem with the why we are so the whole exercise of doing that calculation is reflected over here. Why we are doing that calculation? Now we can see the contradiction. There are many values उसके ऊपर जा रही हैं, okay? जो अपर विस्कर है उसके ऊपर काफी वैल्यूज जा रही हैं, और जो आपका लोअर विस्कर है उसके इधर भी काफी वैल्यूज जा रही हैं. सो लेट्स सी क्वांटिटेटिवली, ये आपका 50% ऑफ द डेटा है, ओके, एंड यू मल्टीप्लाई 50% विद 1.5. सो इन अ वे 25 आप जब Q1 कर रहे हैं, तो आप जब Q1 कर रहे हैं, सो लेट्स से आप अपर विस्कर के लिए कैलकुलेशंस कर रहे हैं. सो अपर विस्कर के लिए आप कैलकुलेशंस कर रहे हैं. सो यू आर एनीवे इंक्लूडिंग 75% ऑफ द डेटा, तो ऑलरेडी है ही. जब आप Q3 प्लस कर रहे हैं ना, तो ये तो Q3 क्या रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है आपका? 75% ऑफ द डेटा, हाँ या ना?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then 1.5 of interquartile range, that is 50%. Okay, so if you convert it into your percentage, 0.75 plus 15, so that is your, ये कितना हुआ? 1.5 का 50%, that is your 0.7. What is that value?
The
0.7.
total is 1.5.
No, I mean to say how much percentage of the data this is representing?
75%.
25.
75% of what? इसके आगे का, राइट? इसके जो ये आपके आगे टेल बन रही है, इसके आगे का 75% है ना। आई थिंक यहां तक तो 75% डेटा है ही, बट देन योर दिस थिंग, दिस रीजन इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग हाउ मच परसेंटेज ऑफ द डेटा, पूरा 100% तो हो नहीं जाएगा। देखिए, इन ऑर्डर टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई वी आर यूजिंग दिस फॉर्मूला, आप इस तरह देखिए, ये नॉर्मल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन रहता है एक, ओके। सो it never touches x-axis. So similarly, when you are making predictions, you are doing sampling. जब आप सैम्पलिंग कर रहे हैं तो आपको वो 100% डेटा नहीं मिला है, आपने सैंपल निकाला है उसमें से। सो दैट मीन्स व्हाट, इट मीन्स दैट we want to be sure of certain region, कि भाई ये जो इतना रीजन है इतना मैं प्रिडिक्ट कर पा रहा हूँ। सो देयर में बी आउटलाइंग वैल्यूज जो रिप्रेजेंट नहीं करती डेटा को, ओके, दे आर वेरी मच फार अवे फ्रॉम द रिमेनिंग डेटा। देख रहे हैं आप। सो एक फिगर जो वो आया था वहां पे, जब आपने बॉक्स प्लॉट बनाया है, आई एम मेकिंग इट कॉम्प्लिकेटेड बिकॉज इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड हियर, वी कुड हैव जस्ट गॉन अवे लाइक दिस सिंपली। इसमें आप देखेंगे कि ये जो ये, हाँ, ये एक्सेलरेशन का जो हमने बॉक्स प्लॉट बनाया है, इसमें आप देखेंगे कि ये जो वैल्यू आ रही है अपर वैल्यू, इसके ऊपर एक ये डॉट है, ये क्या रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है? कैन एनीवन टेल ये रिप्रेजेंट, ये डॉट क्यों बना है? बाकियों में तो नहीं बना ये डॉट, इसी में ही बना हुआ है ये डॉट ओनली। Where did that go? Suddenly it vanished. That screen is doing some issues over. Yeah. So ये वाला जो है, इसमें ये डॉट क्या रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है? एनीवन कैन यू मेक अ गेस?
There might be some values which are not included.
So this is representing an outlier. Okay, हमारी जो कैलकुलेशंस के अकॉर्डिंग वैल्यूज आ रही थी, दैट वाज, आई थिंक देयर इज सम इशू बिकॉज ये जो, लेट मी सी द डेटा, ये एक्सेलरेशन का ही है क्या? ये एक्सेलरेशन का तो नहीं है। ये एक्सेलरेशन का तो नहीं है बेटा। आपने कौन सी कैलकुलेशंस बताई हैं ये 2020 एंड ऑल?
सो बॉक्स प्लॉट एक्सेलरेशन का नहीं होगा क्योंकि
नहीं, वो एक्सेलरेशन का नहीं है बॉक्स प्लॉट, डेफिनेटली नहीं है। ये इसका बना लेते हैं एक्सेलरेशन का, बट व्हाट इज दिस रेंज एक्चुअली? ये जो आउटलायर है ना, इट विल क्लैरिफाई और व्हाट एवर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट। ये जो इफ वी हैव टू ट्रेस दिस, सो दैट्स व्हाई आपके जो आंसर है इट एग्जिस्ट ओवर हियर। एक्सेलरेशन का बना के देखिए, डिस्प्लेसमेंट एंड ऑल, जस्ट अ सेकंड, that range, MPG, I think that is MPG का बनाते हैं एक बार और। Selection, yeah, that is actually MPGs। एक बार आपको MPG का कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा। So I think we have to, in order to understand why we are doing that, we have to understand MPG। एक बार आपको MPG का भी बनाना पड़ेगा। So Amit, you are there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so guys, ये आपका कल का टास्क है। So you have to find out कि ये आप इसकी स्नैपशॉट ले लीजिए एक बार, and you have to tell me कि ये डॉट का क्या मीनिंग है, and how do we get these whiskers anyway। बाकी फिर जो हमने एक्सेलरेशन का निकाला है उसका भी आपको बता ही देते हैं। एक्सेलरेशन का मैं दिखा देता हूँ, ने एक्सेलरेशन का नहीं लिखा है इसके अंदर। एक्सेल ACC, See, what was now let's see what values you were getting. This is the whisker is coming around. What was that value? Upper whisker value for acceleration?
22.
22, right? So it's coming there. Okay, and now you can see these points over here. And you were saying many points are there which are above this whisker. And you see over here that what is this value? Lower value of this? Lower whisker value?
8.8.
8.8. So it is coming near about there. And it is indicating, so at times your whiskers could see what is the significance of making whisker. I want to know spread of my data, but at the same time, another contribution of box plot is it tells me what are the outlying values which do not represent a significant proportion of my data. जो वो मैंने normal distribution बनाया था एक, but it was to indicate कि एक range तक ही आप सारी values consider कर सकते हो, because in real life your data is mostly asymptotic. आप sample निकाल के ही तो ये सब बना रहे हैं, ये sampling ही तो, ये जो Excel sheet का data है ये sample ही तो है, right? It is not all the population. It does not, the set does not complete the set does not contain the complete population. It contains a sample of some 400 or 398 observations. So कहने का मतलब ये है कि ये जो outlier है, that means these points are indicating some anomaly, कुछ अलग चीज दिखा रहे हैं ये, they are different than the regular ones. So we need to see these points because ये आपके डेटा को skew कर सकते हैं, आपकी मीन की वैल्यू को बहुत बढ़ा सकते हैं ये. ओके, these points are still not very much far away from the upper whisker, but हो सकता था कि 80 के आसपास होता, आपके मीन को डिस्टर्ब कर देता है ये. ओके, so the outliers generally they tend to increase variation in your data, they tend to inflate or deflate your mean values. तो हमको ये आउटलायर्स को एग्जामिन करना पड़ता है. ओके, नाउ आपके जो डाउट्स रहेंगे इंटर क्वार्टाइल रेंज को कैलकुलेशन के रिगार्डिंग आप कल वापस से पुट अप करेंगे, सो वी विल लुक इनटू दैट. ओके, नाउ Amit will tell you how to he'll run these codes, whatever are there, they'll explain you in detail all these codes. Okay Amit, now it's on to you.
Okay. Hello. Okay. So everybody got that yesterday's assignment that we discussed? Anybody has any problem with that? Hello? Okay, so I'll assume that everybody got that. And now we'll start with some basic libraries that are most frequently used in machine learning. Am I audible to you? Hello? Okay. So we'll start with some basic libraries that are most frequently used in machine learning and Python. So NumPy and Pandas. These are the names of these libraries. So if we just give a brief review or say what is NumPy, then it is a library that contains functions that will work with your multi-dimensional data set. Okay, so you guys know, right, that what is a multi-dimensional data? Do you know about arrays, vector, matrix? Yes, no. Okay, so anybody can tell me the difference between an array and matrix? What is the basic difference between?
Array is 1D and matrices can be 2D or 3D.
Okay, and what is an vector then? You guys know, right? Vector. Okay, so array can be m cross n dimensional data, right? Say vector we can say as a one dimensional data, and matrix lies between something 2D and 3D data, right? So if it's more than four dimensional, then it is array, right? So one dimensional, two dimensional, and three dimensional array is a generic term for multi-dimensional data. And if we are talking about 2D or 3D data, then it's a matrix. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, so we'll import the library. So why do we need to import the library? So in this NumPy library, there are functions that make our task very easy in terms of the code that we need to write. Okay, so it contains some function that is useful when we are working with multidimensional data, right? So that is why we need to use the numpy library. So we can import an library through import command, and then name of the library that we want to use, and then we'll use the as command, so that it it says to this it specifies that we will from now onwards we will use the numpy library as a short form of in a short form like np, right? So we don't need to write the numpy every time. We can use the short np. You can use n or p or whatever you like, but that should not match with your uh, existing function in that library. Okay, so that is what you have to keep in mind. Right, so you can import numpy as your name also, given that there is no command or function in that library, or in python uh, on your name. Okay, so import numpy as np. So from now onwards, whenever we are importing or using any function from the numpy library, then we'll use the np dot, and then command or function that we are using, right? So okay, so an array will be like just a I have, okay, so this is what an array looks like. Okay, so there are multiple cells. Okay, and in each cell there will be specific value. So whenever you have to store something in your system, uh, okay, whenever you have to store something in your system, or in the memory of the system, then you can use this. Okay, so the system knows exactly where you have stored something, and then you can retrieve it without confusing the system, right? So and the index starts with 0 in python. So say first element in your array will be 0th element. Second element will be your first indexed, right? So are you getting this? So we'll start with 0. Our counting will start with 0. When we see some other functions, or we use some application, then it will be more clear. Okay, so let's say we have to give or assign some values, list of values to a variable. Okay, up till now what we have seen, that we are only giving some true false value, boolean values or numeric values to an variable, right? We were assigning numeric value, single values, right? Now let's say we have to assign multiple values to an variable, to a variable. Then this will be the format, right? So from NumPy library, we are using the array function, and we are specifying that this values or string of values is an array, right? So if we just understand that there are multiple data format, right? You cannot exactly say the format, but structures, right? Data structures that, and there are specific functions that will only work with that specific structure, right? So say there is some command that is designed for or written for array data structures only, then it will run on that only, right? And for data frame, we'll see the data frames. I guess you have heard the term data frame in the previous lectures that sir has conducted. Okay, so, and if some command is written for data frame, then that won't work for an array, right? So so you have to keep in mind whatever data structure is there, you need to know what that data structure is, right? If whether it is an array or an uh, data frame. Okay, so here we are specifically assigning the array to a variable, so that is why np dot array. Okay, okay, sorry, I forgot. You Anybody know how to install this numpy library into your system? Because it is not given right there when you are installing Jupyter there or Python. Then afterwards you need to install the library. Okay, Devansh. So everybody has installed this NumPy in their system. Is there anyone who doesn't have? Okay, okay, Devansh. Okay, so I'll assume that you all have the NumPy library installed in your system, and pandas as well. Okay, so we have assigned the variable, assigned the values to a variable. Then okay, just let me run this. Okay, okay. So you can do one thing in here. This is the syntax for installing your libraries. Right. Pip install. When you are using it in Jupyter, then you need to put an exclamation sign in here, and okay, stick to one method, because you'll see that there are multiple. If you have installed an Anaconda, and then there will be multiple environments, and the system will get confused into in what environment you have installed the library. So just stick to one, and we will go on with Jupyter installation. So you'll just do exclamation pip install and then numpy. Okay, just run this code, and it will start installing. Whenever you need to install some library, you need to just change the name of that library. Okay, just run this, and if you are facing some problem, then let me know. And you need to have an okay. Vineet, is it getting installed, or are you facing any problem?
Sir, doing.
Okay. So it's working, right? There is the installation has started. Do one by one, right?
Sir, how will we come to know that if installation has started?
If you just press enter after this or run this, then it will start there will be some red lines below, because I have already installed it, so it won't start in my system.
It's showing requirement already satisfied.
Okay, so you have installed the you have already installed that NumPy library in your system. Okay, you can just do the same for pandas.
Done, sir.
Okay. Okay, so once the library is installed, you can run these commands and you'll see that okay, the value has been assigned. Then I have retrieved the type of the variable, so that is numpy dot nd array. Okay. Now let's say you want to know what shape of data you have. So whenever there will be a single dimensional data or a vector, so that will be like in the shape of the vector will be retrieved in the system as this, right? Okay, so there are 5 elements in my a variable as an numpy array. Okay, let's say you want to call for or retrieve the values for a single element. Okay, so the syntax will be like, for let's say I want to call the first element of the variable a. Okay, so what is my first variable, sorry, first element? So this is my numpy, sorry, this is my array, and first is 1. So let's say I have to call, as we discussed earlier. Why did it show? Um, okay, Piyush, this is, as I said, this is for a vector array, right? One dimensional array. This will show as 5 comma 0. If we use 2D arrays, then it will start in 1 comma 5 or 2 comma 5. Okay. Okay, so let's say we want to call for first element of array A. So we need to type as A into square brackets and 0th element. Okay, 0th element will be our first index. Then we want to call for, okay, what will be the value of A bracket 2? Anybody?
3.
Okay. Okay, so you understand that? No.
3.
Tina, it will start with 0. Yes, yes. You see that my screen is half hidden, so I don't know who is answering, but it's fine if I don't call you by name. Okay, so Tina, please understand that. Let's say we are starting with one first index, so that will be 0. Okay, so okay, let's say change some values. Okay, so my first element is 11, so I will go backward by one number. Okay, so that is 0 will be my 11th. On 0th position, my element value will be 11. On first index or first, sorry, second value of my array will be, uh, okay, second element will be my first indexed. Are you getting this? Okay, just whatever value you want to call, just do subtraction of 1. Okay, let's say I have 5 elements. I want to call the fifth element, then I will type a comma, sorry, a square brackets 4. So it will give me 15. Okay, I have, okay. So anybody can tell me why is this happening? See, I have changed the values here 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. But when I call for this elemental values, then it is giving me the 1 and 5. Anybody? Is there something wrong with my system?
You did not execute the itself.
Okay, Sayed, right? Okay. So I have not executed the command. cell commands. So that is why it is giving me the older or previous values that were stored in the variable a. Okay, so this is a square brackets 2 will be my first. Okay, so 0, 1 and 2. Okay, so this will be what? A 2 will be what value? What will be the output of a square brackets 2? 13. Right. Now let's say I want to change any of the elements or elemental values of the variable, then just I can assign this with this code command, right? Now if I just recall all the values of variable a, okay, so you'll see that the third position is changed with 34. Okay, so earlier it was 13 and it has been changed to 34. Okay, so you know how to change the values, elemental values between this array. Okay, now let's say I want to, okay, so Piyush, this is where we are assigning 2D data to a variable. Okay, so I have given, so earlier you will see that this is my first element. Okay, first set of values, and this is my second set of values as it was given in uh, earlier case. Okay, so you'll see that in here this is a set. I am giving two sets of three elements, then it will be like this. Okay, so this is the first element of three values, this is the second element of my three values, and I have combined them with square brackets at the end, at the beginning and at the end. Okay, I have written it in the square brackets, the first element and the second element. If I just run this, you will see. So it will be just like, okay, so now it is 2D data. Okay, now if I call the shape values, now you can see that 2 comma 3, so 2 rows and 3 comma 3 columns. So first will be your row value, row count, and the second value in the shape command will be your column count. Okay, now let's say I just want to call the values that are assigned on that index. Okay, let's say so what row will be this and which column. If I run this command b square bracket 0 comma 2, then what will be the, okay, you can see the b variable. So can you just directly tell me what value will be there on the 0 comma 2 position? One 30. No, you say okay. The syntax is like x comma y. I'm calling for. You all know Cartesian system, right? So whenever, okay, Sayed is right. Aditi is also right. So you will see that in Cartesian system, whenever we plot an x comma y, x to the y to the x graph, and then you will give some x coordinate and y coordinate, and then it will give you the x comma y value, right? So here we are calling for zeroth row. Okay, so zeroth row will be my first row. Okay, so I have three elements in first row. Now if I have specified here which column, right? So second column means my third column, right? Okay, so that will be my 7. In first row, third element will be 7. Okay, so that is why B 0 comma 2 will give me a 7. Let's say I just want to call the whole row, entire row, and just put 0 comma. Okay, so I have just specified that I want to call first row. Okay, 0th index means first row, that means 147, that is my entire row. Let's say I want to call uh, call for second column, so that is 4 and 20, so it will give you 4 and 20. Okay, this we have done. In here we are calling two values, that is 1 comma 3 element, and in here 2 comma second row and third element. Okay, so that will be 7 and 30, so that will be my entire column of third column. Okay, so earlier we did two rows, so sorry, two sets of values. So we were given a 2D array of 2 comma 3. Now in here you can see my first set has 5 values, second set has 5 values, and the third set has 5 values. So it, and how many sets are there? 3 sets. That means it will generate an 3 comma 5 array. Okay, so this will be my two-dimensional 3 cross 5 array or matrix, as you see. Okay. Now in here we are calling for first 1 to 2, that means 2 to 3, 2 to 3 rows. Okay, I am specifying 2 to 3 rows, and which column elements? 3 up to infinite. Whatever number of columns I have, from it will start from 3 and go until it ends. Okay, so okay, sorry, fourth. 3 means your fourth. So what will be my answer? That will be 450, 40, 50, and 400, 500. So that will give you an 40, 50. Okay. Okay, I have given the second and third row. Can you see any problem in here? Is it giving me the right output or not? Is it giving you the right output? Say this saying yes. Okay, anybody else? Aditi, Tina, Piyush. Focus on third. Okay, focus on 30th cell. Is it giving me the right output? Okay, so what is, why is it? Sayed Vinith, can you tell me why is it giving me this value? Okay, I'll explain to you. So see what is happening in here. Okay, so I have specified 1:2. That means second row and third row, right? It should have been second row and third row. Entire rows should have been selected in here. But when it is the problem with this index, right? So in here, whenever you want to call values, so it will eliminate the subtract one value, or let's say you have given in here 1:4. Okay, so 1:4 means it will start from 1, 2 and 3 only. It will not consider 4. So yes, as Vinith is saying, it will not include the last row, because whenever there is a column in here between two values in Python, it will not consider the last value. It will just give n-1 value from the last. Okay, so that is why we are getting the, okay, in here we are getting 1:4. So uh, what was that? Okay, second row and third row. Okay, so for 4, let's say I have put here 5, then it will give me all the rows up to 5. Okay, so there are no more rows in here, so that is why it is giving us. Okay, now again same as earlier, we are assigning a new value to the variable, so it will give you the displaced interchanged value. So we have given the input as 4 5 6 7 to which element, that is x comma y, that is 2 comma 3, right? So second row and third column value. Okay, so that has been changed here. Are you guys clear up till now? Any doubts or anything you want to repeat? So everybody got that? NumPy array, how to assign a new data set, how to change the value in between the data set. A yes will be okay. Okay, thank you, Vinith. Okay, so next you can call the import the library pandas as PD. Okay, so pandas will you see that NumPy also works on arrays, multi-dimensional data, right? And Panda also work with multi-dimensional data, right? But it is more focused on like 2D type of data set. Okay, and it is based on, or you can say it is based on NumPy array, right? NumPy library. So there will be, whenever we are working with 2D dimensional data set, then 2D data, then we will be working NumPy and Pandas, both the libraries. Uh, I guess Panda is more helpful when you are retrieving the values or importing data sets, that is read Excel or read CSV. Okay, and whenever you are there are functions, imputations and all, there also you need to use the Pandas library. Okay, so you can say that NumPy is more on mathematical domain, and Pandas is more on something with the data for data set, right? So you need to import, export the data set, read the data set, or write the data set in a new file. There, Pandas will be more helpful to you. Okay, so that is enough for introduction of Pandas. And now we have assigned a number of values to a variable, right? So if we just write it here, so that will give us an LST. Okay. And if I ask what is the type of LST, anybody can guess what is the type of LST? It is a list. Okay, so there is a dictionary list. No, string is a data type. Okay, so it will be only limited to a so a value. Okay, so an element can be numerical value or string type of value, categorical value, but this is a string, you can say set of values. Okay, so there are type of set of values. Okay, so that so list is there, then array is there, then data frame is there, then dictionaries are there. These are all the structures that store your data into a, you can say, specific order, right? So this is what the list is also. Okay. So, but I guess if you are just working with data frames, then you don't need to, because I personally don't feel comfortable with list and dictionary, because I am not also from this computer background. Okay, so if you are, it's okay if you don't go into details with the dictionary and list, but okay, data frame is necessary that you need to learn. Okay, so we have used the pandas library, right? We had written here that we are importing pandas as PD. So we have used PD dot. We are using the data frame function or command from the pandas library. Okay, so that is why PD dot data frame. You need to focus on the spelling. Okay, data, then capital frame, and there is no space. Okay, so we are converting the LST, that was a list type of data set, into a data frame. So data frame is, if you just have to visualize, then this is what a data frame looks like. Okay, so there will be rows, there will be columns, and the values will be assigned in between. So whenever you are working with 2D data set, then it is a data frame. It can get as simple as that. Okay, so this is what a data frame looks like. Whatever, whenever you are importing, so you are working with an Excel file, that is also an data frame. Whenever you are importing that Excel sheet values, so that will be your data frame. So okay, now let's say, okay, so we have converted the list where data type data set into data frame, and we are printing it. So you'll see that a column vector has been generated in here, because only one dimensional values will be were given there. There was no order specified in which row and column, so it has been taken as a column vector. Now in here we are giving two sets of values, right? It was similar to array, right? This is one set and this is the second set. Okay, so a minor difference in here is we have given a name to this set of values. Okay, are you guys getting it? This is my first set of data values, and in there I have given or defined this data as name. Okay, I have given name to this data values. Okay, now for the second set of values I have given the name of age. Okay, so there are two sets of data. First one is name. The first set of data values are under the name of name, and the second set of data values are under the name of age. Okay, so this is it, and we have given curly brackets in here, so that means it will be a dictionary. Okay, so this is how you can generate your data set, by typing it. Okay, now I have converted the data into, okay, let's say we just run it. You'll see it as in this format, and I'm calling for type of this data. So it will be a dictionary, right? So whenever you are doing, giving the values in curly brackets, okay, so that will be a dictionary data type, and then uh, it will be shown to you as this way. Okay. For NumPy, it was only square brackets. Right. For list, it is square brackets. For NumPy, it is parentheses and then square brackets. Okay. So from the output also, you can tell which data type is it. Okay, so we are converting the data into data frame. Okay, so you see that compared to this dictionary, this is much more eye catchy or much more understandable. Okay, so now we are giving more values. Let's say 4 data sets are there. Sorry, sets of data values are there. We are giving them name as name, age, address, and qualification. Okay, so this is my second data set that I have generated in here. Okay, now next, let's say we are calling for, okay, so we have generated a data set, right? Now let's say we are calling for uh, any particular, in numpy we were calling for particular element or particular row or column. In data frame we can do that also, we can do that, right? Okay, so let's say I want to call the first name variable, so we will call it as name variable, right? So whatever columns are there, that will be a variable. Okay, so our first variable is name, second variable is age, and third variable is address, and fourth is qualification. So let's say we just want to retrieve name column or name variable and whatever values are there under the or assigned to the qualification variable. Okay, so we will just put it in double square brackets. Okay, you need to focus on that. So keep that in mind, and if we run this you will see we have retrieved the name and qualification, first column and the last column. Okay, so you can do this with this iloc and .lock command too. We will see that further in detail when we will be working with much detailed codes. Okay, now let's say I don't know what is the name of that variable or column that I want to retrieve, but I know that it is on the fourth index. Okay, so when you know the index of your variable or column, then you can use the I, right? And uh, when you know particular name, you don't know the on what position in what index the variable is, then you
Amit,
can use the.
you can also tell about instead of iloc there is loc also. Loc.
Yes,
So
I'm telling that there is one example below here, so we'll cover it there. I'm just giving it through. Yes, sir, we will do that.
okay, okay.
Okay, so this is how we have retrieved the third index is given here, but it will be on the fourth position, right? So you don't know what uh, name of that variable is, right? So we have called for, okay, now so it is a 2D array, so we need to give two values here, x comma y, but we are only giving it as a 3, so it will be taken as a row value. Okay, so here 3 means you can just directly do compare it here, 0 first, second, and third. So the third, that means fourth. On fourth row the values are Anuj, 32, Kanauj, and PhD. Okay, so from this data set we have retrieved the fourth row, so that we can do with this syntax. Okay, df3, that is your variable name. df3 was your variable name dot iloc, that is index location. Okay, now let's say you want to check whether there are this is a small data set, say, so you can see that if any values are missing or not. But let's say you have a data set of 1000 cross 5000, so you cannot check the whole data set where is there any null value or any values are missing in any position, right? So that you can do just with df dot is null, right? So it will give you a this type of variable there. Whenever there is a null value, it will show for true. Okay, let's say you want to fill any missing values with 0. Okay, so that you can do with fill df. Okay, So it was df3 dot fill na, but there is no missing values, so it will not do anything. Okay, let's say you want to drop. There are two options when you are having a data set that have some missing values. So first one is you can put the zeros there, or second you can drop the entire row of that missing value, right? So okay, again df3. You will see that there is a basic difference between when you are working with data frames. So you first need to you can say you need to put the variable sorry data frame name first and then use the commands, while while later on we will be working with any numpy array. Then you can see that first you will write the command that you want to perform, and then afterwards you will write the name of the numpy array variable, right? So and that is what I was telling you about, that there is some you can say standard difference between numpy and data frame that the libraries are built on, right? So there are specific libraries, so there is libraries that will use the array and data frame as different entities. Okay, so that is why you need to know what type of variable you are using, what data structure you are using. Okay, so this is the example from your previous lecture, right? So first we have imported the pandas library, then pd.read csv. This is the syntax for importing the data set, right? Am I going too fast? You want to do some exercise? Yes, no? Okay, anybody? Or I'll just continue with the code. Okay, bit fast. Okay, okay. So shall I revise and everything, Pratik? Anybody else? Tina, Vinith, Sayed, Aditi. Are you guys comfortable with the speed? Or okay, okay, okay. So we can do the whole thing revised, right? For NumPy, we will use import NumPy as NP. Then we will define or specify assign the values as a numpy array to a variable, right? So that will be np dot array, then parenthesis, and then in between the square brackets we will assign the values. Okay, so this is how you generate a numpy array, right? Then once you have generated, let's say you want to recall the values from the numpy array, so that will be in this manner. So you need to keep that in mind, that this is a 1D array, so that is why only single values are given in here. When you will be working with 2D arrays, that is in here, you see that two sets of values are given here, right? So first set is in square bracket, first square brackets, so that is my first set. Now second square bracket, that is my second set of values, and both sets of values are included in the another square bracket, right? So that you have to keep in mind, that whenever there are two sets of values in numpy array, you need to put square brackets at the beginning and the end of the sets value. Okay, so that is numpy dot array 2D array. Let's say you want to call for the shape of what type of shape the b variable has, so that will be 2 comma 3. Now here you want to call for 2D element array, so that will be x comma y. Okay, let's say you want to start from first value up till the end. Okay, okay, so that is then you can use the column. Okay, so from first to last value, that you can call from column, and 0 is given for only first row, right? So you need to keep that in mind whenever you are indexing in Python. It will start from 0. Okay, and it will not consider the last value. obviously. Okay. This is the 3D NumPy array. Okay, in here we had called for 1 is to 2, but how many rows are here? There are 3 rows only. So if I put a value as 2, then it will call for only a previous row, right? 2 means 3 rows starting from 1 to 3 rows, sorry, 2 to 3 rows, but the last value will not be considered in here. So it will take a previous one. Okay, so there are only second row will be called for, and all the elements of the columns or not, all the columns are called here or not. So here just starting from third, so that is fourth column to fifth
So
column.
we are not getting this part.
Okay. uh, the- let's say we can just multiply it, right? Now is it good? Okay, so let's say you want to start from third index to,
Sir, the output for the 32 has not been refreshed, I guess.
yes, I didn't execute it. I was just telling, just one thing. Okay, so I'm calling which I guess I'm you are getting confused with the index, right? So we will call for fourth value, fourth row, right? If we are putting 3 in here, so we are calling for which row? That will be our fourth row, right? Because it will start from, this is my zeroth row, this is my first row, this is second, and this is my third row as per Python. Okay, so I'm calling for this row starting from this row to which row? I'm giving the value as 6 in here, so that means as per Python, this is zeroth row, first row, second row, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So as per our assignment here, we are calling from which value to which row to which row? We are calling from third row, that is 1 2 3 to 1 2 3. Okay, so third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. But it will not give us the uh, last value, right? So it will just I'll just write it here. Will start from fourth row and 6 minus 1. So 6 is 7. This is as per our understanding, right? So 3 is given, that means fourth row, and 6 is given, that means seventh row. But it will not cover the last row because it is in the syntax or it is in the library as per they have defined it in Python. Okay, so it will not give us the seventh row, but it will give us up till sixth. So it will start from fourth row and up to sixth. 3 to 5 not including 6, so in 3 to 6 representation, right? Okay, is it clear now? Whenever we are using colon, then you need to understand that the last value will not be callable. Okay, it will give you the your range will be first value up to 1 minus last value. Okay, starting from third to fifth. Are you getting it? Is it clear or not? Yes. Now in here, if we are not giving the last value, right? We have
So,
assigned.
Amit, I think we can stop for today. If we just complete this and then we can stop for today.
Yes, sir. Okay. I have used the column as again. I have specified the first location and this but not given the last location. So it will start from first until end. Okay, but when I give the last location in after the column, then it will not consider the last element. It will give you value up till 1 minus last location. Okay, this is what, if you just generate an array and try using it, then you will understand that how it is working, right? So just do one thing: generate an numpy and data frame, and then retrieve the values in this format. Okay, so you'll understand much better when you are doing hands-on with. Okay, so I guess